Marie, and I am so privileged to be joining you here tonight. Tonight, we are diving into a topic around how to walk in your power, how to really become the fullness of who you and I can be. There's a lot of folks who don't even know this concept exists. And frankly, I didn't really know it myself until about 4 years ago. And this concept of walking in your power, at first blush, for me, I was like, I have no idea what you mean. I have no idea. Um, I have no idea what that even would look like for me. And so, where and how this kind of came about was effectively this afternoon. Just to give some context about why I wanted to talk about it tonight. I've been hosting the Knowing Intensive for a couple this weekend. We had our first session yesterday, our second session today, and then we'll be meeting again tomorrow. And one the gentleman is 65 years old and the woman is 59 years old. And they're both committed to moving through this intensive for the purpose of knowing who they are, where they're headed, their vision, and really growing, like identifying who do I need to become in order to fulfill this mission. And one of the things, or this vision rather, for their lives, one of the things that I asked them, because in order for us to get to the future forward visioning, we do have to look back. And one of the things that I asked them was, would you look back in your key hallmark moments in your life? So in childhood, in your marriage, with your parents, who did you need to become in each one of those dynamics? In childhood, just broadly, with your parents, and then also with your partner, who did you need to become to be loved? And they were both answering this question, and I decided to answer it myself. And I realized, I for me in my current relationship, I realized my answer was I need to walk in my power. And I started musing on that because it's not that I wouldn't be loved per se, but there's actually been a season in my current relationship where I haven't been in my power. And that had negative, very negative ramifications in our relationship. Because when you start off in relationship one way and then you kind of dip out of it, the other person is like, what is going on? I'm not having a consistent experience with you. And so as I started leaning into this concept, I realized how important it is that every single person addresses this question for themselves. How do I walk in my power? And what does that even mean? So I want to start with how I define that. And frankly, I'd love to hear in the chat too, how do you guys define walking in your power? Like, what does it look like, sound like for you? And so in order for us to kind of first define that, I thought of this a couple years ago where it was very clearly like, okay, this is who I am when I'm not healthy, and this is who I am when I am healthy. And beyond just healthy, this is who I am when I am like on. It's like you've got the all the light switches on in the house. The house is electric. You're on fire. And that's what I mean when I'm saying walking in our power, where we're clear-minded, we know where we're going, we know who we are along the way. We've got, so our direction is clear, our identity is clear. And man, there's alignment, and you're powering forward. And there's a confidence that comes with that. When we talk about kind of KPIs, key performance indicators that help us dictate and know when we are walking in our power, I think confidence is actually really one that is aligned with that. The other night we were talking about how to know if I'm heading in the right direction. And some of the KPIs, those indicators, we talked about the emotional indicator, the intellectual indicator, and even the spiritual indicator of helping us know when we're walking in the right direction. And so emotionally, we talked about peace. I am at peace internally, and that's an indicator for me that I'm heading in the right way. I have clarity intellectually. Sometimes we talk about brain fog and we just feel mentally cloudy. So when I am intellectually clear, that's another indicator that I'm heading in the right path. And then finally, spiritually, when I'm actually operating from a place of hope, like I think that, man, I feel good about where I'm going. I have hope that this is going to yield the outcomes that really is going to help us propel on the way forward. And it's also an indicator that I'm on the right track. Confidence is another indicator when it comes to, am I walking in my power? Because there are times where I actually have been on the right track, but I'm not necessarily showing up as my best. And so this is the other half to the coin. Yes, we need to be heading in the right direction, but man, am I walking in who I know I can be along the journey? Am I actually activated in terms of like stepping into the greatest potential? Kind of sometimes I think of it as almost like these. This is a nerdy example, but I'm just going to give it. When you think of these like superheroes, like who is it? Put it in the chat, y'all. Help me out. What are they called? The Avengers. Yes, I was going to say aviators, not aviators. The Avengers. They have these superhero suits, and they are kind of ordinary people, and then they step into this suit, and then they step into this additional sense of power that they have to then be able to capitalize on what they need to do and who they can be. And so there's some when I say it's walking in our power, that's what I mean. What are the nuances and what are the characteristics of when we're in our power, when we're kind of in that superpower mode? Again, it's kind of nerdy, but it's kind of a helpful picture. Like when I'm walking in my power, I have that on me. I have the confidence. I have kind of the marks of someone who knows, man, not just where I'm going, but how to get there and what I have to offer along the journey. There's a real confidence in what I can bring and how I can give and how I can contribute and how I can bring life to everyone around us. Um, just want to quickly jump into the chat. Marjan, good to see you. Thank you for joining. David, Choix, VSR, Hans Peter, World, USA Life. Yeah, no politics here. Silva Fett, Desiree, Boxing Boy, Inex Red. I love this. Toik says, walking in my power means being authentic, speaking truthfully and honestly, and what I know to be true, not to please others, but all my truth to be spoken. Dude, what a word. I love that. Being authentic. Man, you nailed it. I'm so grateful you said authenticity because that's another when we think of kind of like the hallmarks of walking in our power, confidence, I think is like a natural external manifestation. Y'all, that authentic piece, sure, maybe people really know us well who could tell, but that's on us. Like we really are our own barometer of like, how much am I really being authentic right here in this moment? And man, when I'm powered by authenticity, man, there's a level of it almost like breaks through, it permeates through conversations, it permeates through the noise because there's so much noise, especially some of you were asking about, are you AI? There's a lot of AI noise right now. And so the more we are actually proceeding from an authentic place, and then the second thing of what you said, speaking what's true. Twix, you just like nailed it. That's huge. Am I actually brave enough to speak the truth? Truth, authenticity, confidence. Guys, what else? I love that you said this. I think this is so important. Howard, I actually really like that. Keep up all that energy and spirit in a positive manner. I think what you're saying here about energy and spirit, I think both of those fit in really, really well here in terms of the picture of like what does it mean to walk in your power? So confidence, authenticity, truth. I like energy. Honestly, it's going to be hard to walk in our power if we're depleted. So that's where on the Knowing Show, for those of you who are new, we talk about the cultivation of every single intelligence, every single part of us, our spiritual intelligence, our intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and our physical intelligence. Our physical body, y'all, as we start getting older, I actually started experiencing it kind of young because I got into a car accident 3 weeks before I ran my marathon when I was like 25. And I ran my marathon, and at mile 16, my hips locked and I like shuffled my way to the finish line. I should have stopped, but I kind of permanently damaged my back. So now I have a very real reminder on a daily basis of, oh, I'm not being healthy, and oh, I am being healthy. And so that physical reminder, am I actually tending to my physical body to maintain the energy so that I can walk in my power? Y'all, depression has to do with our physical body. I have experienced this so keenly where if I, especially when I was in a season of like real grief over things happening in my personal life, if I drank a second mimosa, I got so depressed. So what we eat are stimulants and what we drink are stimulants. And so that impacts our moods. So our emotion and our physical body are very intertwined. The other day, I ate an omelet at a restaurant and I knew it was covered in seed oils. And that's a whole other conversation. But seed oils are pretty toxic. And so I ate it. And immediately I just felt all the energy get out of me. So, Howard, I'm so glad you brought up energy because, y'all, there's no way that we can fulfill on us walking in our power if we're physically depleted and we just have nothing left. So, I'm so glad you said that. What else? Um, Girthquake says aviators far from the apartment. That's so funny. Sender V, I love that. Christine halftime show. That's so funny. Money burner, which home services do you sell? My family has a painting business. And then I have a digital marketing business for trade companies. Richie Rich, thank you. Likewise. Oh, Vale Quest, thank you. I'm so grateful you're here. Okay, I'm so grateful. AI could never replicate authenticity. I am so with you on that. Guys, this is really, really important. So when we're talking about how to walk in our power, first we have to kind of define what is that? What does that look like, sound like for me? And so the initial kind of hallmarks of walking in our power, confidence, uh, authenticity, being able to keep up our energy, speaking the truth. And frankly, I even think that there's an element of courage. There's something that really requires bravery for us to. I keep going back to Theodore Roosevelt's speech where he talks about the man in the arena. And it is so much easier to stand outside the arena and point at the person, sneering and being the critic of the person who's actually trying. It is way harder to get in the arena ourselves and really grapple with life. And here's the thing, walking in our power doesn't mean we'll do it perfectly. So we actually have to be willing to fail. Y'all, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. I think failing is actually a hallmark of walking in our power. Are we trying? Are we failing and getting back up? And a friend of mine said this, failing forward, where every single attempt is actually moving forward in our fight to become all that we can and complete all that we can in this lifetime. Brian, I'm so glad to see you. Explorer, hey there. Who will be your next guest? I actually have to check my calendar. I don't know. I think I have a guest tomorrow night though. So I have to check that, but I'll let you know in a few minutes. Y'all, this question. So the hallmark of really what does it mean to walk in my power? Each one of those, and the thing that's cool about each one of those hallmarks, it touches a different part of our intelligences. The energy piece really speaks to our physical intelligence. The confidence, man, confidence, I'm identity is a big one. Do we actually have confidence in who we are and what we can offer the world? Because if we're not, if we're not confident in that, if we don't know really who we are, well, we can't be authentic to begin with. And then we have nothing really to have confidence in. And so then when we actually start, okay, then how do I activate this? All of that is predicated on these hallmarks. So number one, knowing what health looks like for us. I host different retreats. And so one of my favorite questions I love to ask at the Knowing Retreat is I love having people, all of whom are attendees, they will take this question. Oh, sorry, I just kicked my little table. They will have to ask their friends, people that they really trust, and they'll have to ask them these questions. One, how would you define me in health? What does health look like for me? Two, what does unhealth look like for me? And then three, what's the percentage that I'm operating in either one? And y'all, that is really, really, really helpful for us because health is like the baseline. Like we were talking about this earlier, there's a difference between being unhealthy versus healthy and then walking into our power, like putting on that Avenger suit, like stepping into the fullness of who we can be. Sometimes being at home with our family, we can really be in our power, but maybe that's more of kind of where it is in that healthy, neutral baseline. So, do we even know what healthy looks like? as kind of that launching pad. It's kind of like the launching pad of the rocket. And and whenever we need to walk in our power in a really strong, robust way, we have the launching pad all set up, all ready to go. We've been tending to it. It's been cultivated, and now we're ready to launch that rocket whenever it's necessary and needed. So what does health look like for you? And sometimes health looks different in different seasons, but I'd love to hear what that looks like for you guys. Like, what does health actually look like? For me, actually, I asked this question when I was at the retreat. I asked people myself, and my sister and my darling, both of them said this thing. They were like, when you're healthy, you're not as filtered. Like your thoughts run more freely and you're not putting a filter over your words. And that was really, really helpful to have that reflected back to me. Like, I allow for creativity to flow and I'm not fearing judgment. Like, I'm coming from a place of curiosity. So for me, health looks like being curious instead of coming from a place of judgment. It looks like creativity versus perfection. And so being able to actually balance all of these different, okay, health, unhealth, health, unhealth. Y'all, that's a self audit. We actually need to get really, really clear on what both look like so that we can know, okay, I actually am coming from a really healthy place. Now I can step into my power. Because what can happen is that people can step into their power from an unhealthy place, and then, yes, they actually are wearing that Avenger suit, but they're kind of on the other side. They can cause way more damage in their wake when they're walking in their power coming from an unhealthy place. So each one of us has the ability to activate our power. It's just whether it's kind of being leveraged for good, whether it's being leveraged for love, or if it's rooted in fear. And so the foundation of our launch pad is either love or fear, health or unhealth. And so that's where it's really quite important for us to understand what is health and what does that look like for me. Um, if the ground is contaminated with particles, your fruit is contaminated. I love, honestly, that's just such a good analogy for this topic around the launch pad. It's like, what are the particles in the launch pad? What's the particles in the soil? It's like there's this verse that says, "You shall know a tree by its fruit." So, what's the fruit in your life? That's another good way of analyzing if you're healthy or not. Um, all right, just looking through the chat here. Um, Generation X, Ryan Davis, Bear Blasting. Thank you guys for joining. Uh, she speaks for the low self esteem. Josh, I'd love to hear what you think about that. Um, I'm not sure. I probably missed some of the earlier mentions um, or messages, but would love to hear your thoughts about kind of like what we're talking about. I honestly, y'all, this question around health and unhealth is really, really important. And then another way of how to really walk in our power. I was thinking about it earlier. We have to know where we're weak. I was actually on the phone with someone on my way here earlier before the show, and I was thinking about when we have one intelligence that's over cultivated and overemphasized, it can actually be very damaging because the other intelligences are not cultivated. So, for example, I was actually thinking about two different examples. One is the person who's very religious, very dogmatic. They're over cultivated and so sure of themselves in this one area, but then they haven't done the work to actually cultivate their intellect to counterbalance on the religious side. Well, that just is a big hammer rather than being spiritual and being curious and seeking the presence of God and wanting to know what's true while also cultivating their mind. God is spirit and truth. And so if we only ever just engage in the spirit or only ever just engage with the intellect, we're going to be missing half the piece, half the story. So it's the cultivation of the spirit and the truth. And then for others, when man, all you do is cultivate emotionally, and then you don't actually take time to cultivate your mind, or maybe you don't take time to cultivate your body, well, you're wasting away physically. But I mean, I guess it's good that you can handle relationships, but what about your physical body? You're literally not taking care of yourself and you're harming your body. So the over cultivation of just one intelligence is actually really dangerous. And so if we're not paying attention to where we're weak or where we really need to improve one area, we end up being it's like we're not just overdeveloped in one area, we're just way off balance. And then when people engage us, it's kind of abrasive, and it's a little bit like, oh, I don't really know how to, either it's abrasive and I don't really know how to engage with you, or it can be like walking on eggshells where they're kind of explosive because for the dogmatic person, man, it's a big heavy hammer that they come in with whatever it is that they're dogmatic about, rather than, again, the pillars of health, which is being able to be curious instead of having the hammer of judgment. Um, I'm just looking through here. Major Puzzle says, health is being a Seahawks fan tonight. I love that. Um, um, Kick it with Grimace. I'm not sure. I'm trying to understand what some of you guys are saying, but I think I'm lacking some of the context. Um, Josh Gee says men with low self-esteem put women on a pedestal and agree with anything they say. You know what, Josh? I think you're absolutely right, and I'll tell you, women do the same thing. I actually did that with my former husband. Man, I put him on a pedestal, and everything he said was right, and to the point that I actually lost access to my own intuition. So it was very dangerous, and I think whoever we are can really I think it's regardless of gender. Um, it can be really, really dangerous. And frankly, it's also so much so dependent on like where have I been wounded in the past? Where do I actually need love and tender care? Where do I need healing? And then we'll put people on a pedestal to meet our needs in that way. So actually where and how we put people on a pedestal can actually be a mirror for us to reflect back our own wounding and like what's happened to us. Um, John Wisdom, thank you. I love those emojis. um, um, Kick it with Grimace. Oh, I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. Maui. It's called Too Righteous. We evolved. I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. I'm checking in with the chat, and I think I'm missing some of the context. Religion was designed to give humans a moral compass. Uh, I I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this. I find that relationship actually does so much more for me in terms of guiding me than religion itself. I think initially that there's so much good that can come from religion, but a lot of times it can turn into dogma, whereas relationship that's derived can be so powerful. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts there. Um, how do you stop self-sabotaging? Mm. How do you stop self-sabotaging? I legit feel like I'm given, what I've oh, sorry, I lost it. Um, okay, so Sony Rose Ross says, "How do you stop self-sabotaging? I legit feel like I'm given what I've always wanted and throw it away, now unemployed at 27 years old." Well, first, thank you for being so honest. I really, really respect that. One of the biggest things that has really helped me, Sony, is to understand why. Why am I doing it? Like, what is the actual genesis story, genesis moment? What's the originating moment in my life where I actually started feeling the need to do that? And a lot of times it's from childhood. And so I have found that by going back and actually digging up some of those roots, it has been so helpful for me to really understand, and then I can it's like the old program. What's the old program that's there? What do I need to undo? What do I need to kind of dismantle? And then I can start implementing new systems. But if we try to put a new program on top of an old one, our body is always going to revert back. And I mean, honestly, what ended up happening for me personally was my former husband and I got married. We both agreed that we both loved our parents, but we didn't want a marriage like theirs. And so we both agreed we didn't want their old marriage or their marriages, but we didn't set a new target. So we ended up just making a whole big, 360 rather than a 180 lateral change. We ended up making a whole big loop. And so with self-sabotage, until we do the work to really understand like why, what is up with this old program? What's it rooted in? What happened? What's the why here? And then also do the work to set a new target of, well, okay, well, then how will I engage when I am given what I want? So I would start there, and I'd be super curious to hear, if that's helpful or not. Um, Tin Mole, no, I don't put my wife on a pedestal. Good job. I'm glad you don't. I think the pedestal is probably the most dangerous place for anyone to be. Um, YouTube Live has the stereotypical type of man, usually not too and very hypersexual because they have low self-esteem and self-respect. That's so sad. Joshki, I've got to tell you, I've had some incredible men in these conversations. Um, they're really, really brilliant. And I've had incredible women here too. So I don't know. I hope not. I've had a different experience, but I don't know. Maybe, you know what it could be, and I'm sure there's nothing that's hardly ever is there anything that's like absolute and like it's always this way. But I wonder if partially it's the channels, where people, if one channel in particular tends to attract a certain group. I've been really grateful for the intelligent people who have come on here and are kind of like part of this tribe. Um, Thomas Johnson, thank you. I love them too. He said, I liked your earrings. Um, Maui says, know your worth. Oh, I love that. Yes. How to stay in your power, how to walk in your power. Know your freaking worth. I'm so glad you said that. Oh my gosh. That's so good. Be spiritual. Ryan Davis says, be spiritual. Religion is what separates people. Mm. Would you rather be, Patrick says, would you rather be broke as a joke and in love or rich? Be beyond your wildest dreams and not in love. Oh, I think, honestly, whether you're in love or just experiencing love, I think love is the most important thing. Frankly, I think in love is a dangerous pursuit. I think the goal is to love and have a heart and a heart, truly a heart posture of love. Um, Thomas Costello, chin up, Sunny. Yeah, I love that. Y'all, that's why we're here, right? We to be able to do this life together. My gosh, that's actually one of the things I wrote down for how to walk in our power community. Y'all, we need each other. Like, man, I'm hosting an in-person event next month, a knowing retreat, and even this week doing the knowing intensive. We need community. We need each other. We need to better understand why do we do the things we do? What are the things that hang us up, that get in the way, that trip us up? And then asking for help and getting accountability so that we can truly come alongside each other and love well. Um, I'm just going back to the chat. Cody, we're dumber than we think. You know what? I wonder if I like thinking of it, oh, there's so much I don't know rather than we're dumber than we think. But I hear what you're saying. I love thinking, oh, I wonder what I'll learn today in that way. Um, just looking down. Will Castro, hello. Oh, I love this. Nika Adrian, Sunny, you never know what the next moment has for you. Just let go of what was and be present in your life. You are not lost. You are getting a reset. I love that. I'm so glad you said letting go. The book I'm reading right now that I've been reading for a very long time is called Letting Go by David Hawkins. Y'all, I feel so strongly that if all of us read this book, we would live in such a different world. Really, truly learning how to let go of what we carry from and for and towards each other, but then also even towards outcomes to allow for us to be surprised and experience life for what it can be rather than just what we're projecting on it, whether it's rooted in fear and we're projecting fear onto the future, or even if it's something good that we're striving or hoping for. The more we live life with our hands clenched and it's closed, it's going to be really hard to receive something perhaps even better than what we thought. I love that. I'm just looking through the chat. Thomas Costello, believe in love. I love love. And it's Tony, tell me what you mean about this. Tony says love isn't healthy these days. Okay, and this is where clarifying terms is so important. What does love mean? So love, I'm so glad we're talking about this. In May of last year, I went on this whole like deep dive into love because I was feeling very like what's the right word? I was feeling honestly rather disillusioned because I was considering how much I loved my husband and we had such an unhealthy marriage. And so I was wondering, did I even love him in the first place? Like what did I feel towards him? And so as I dove into love, I realized that the Greek, when you examine love, there's 7 different definitions of love in the Greek language. And so in the English, we just try to comprise all of those 7 into one word, love. And oh my gosh, of course we're going to do it poorly. There's 7 different forms. And so I'd love to let's do a show about that. Maybe we'll do a show this week. Also, I needed to tell you, I'm sorry. I missed it. I needed to tell you who's on deck for tomorrow's show. Oh, I don't think we have anyone for tomorrow's show. Let's talk about love tomorrow night. Y'all tell me if that sounds interesting to you. 7 different types of love. I freaking love that. Josh Gee, even platonic love and being in love are very different and people find it hard to differentiate, I think. I completely agree. Tell me if you guys would be interested in that topic. I think this is so important because I think actually love is pretty much the basis of life. 𝐤𝐚𝐢𝐳𝐸. Did you have jaw surgery before? No, I did not. What Maui says, what you project is naturally what you will receive. Remember that, guys and girls. What a word. AJ Alberto says, all love. Yes, I love that. Rules for radicals. Ooh, I'm writing this down. Rules for radicals. Okay. How I would never put those two together. That's cool. Ryan Davis, live in grace. I love that. Some guy. Oh, I hope you're kidding, but thank you. Joshua Brown, look into contemplative prayer. Is that a book, Joshua? I'm writing that down too. I love these book recommendations. Y'all, the last few nights I've been getting told up with people quoting Christopher Adams, specifically quoting Stoicism to me and the great Stoics. And I'm like, I am blown away. Someone was quoting Shakespeare the other day. I was like, dang, we got a smart group. Oh, Elijah, thank you. Patrick Crow. Yes, they help me see the future. Ryan Davis, love is a sacrifice. Oh, my goodness. You have no idea what that phrase holds for me specifically. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow night. Oh man, I actually will write that down. Can you guys tell me actually, would that be interesting to have a show around love tomorrow? I know that I actually don't know. I don't think I've ever done enough. Oh no, I did one show. I think after I was doing this exploration, but I'd love to do that. Love is sacrifice. I want to talk about that tomorrow night, but can you guys tell me if that would be interesting to you? Love is best understood through grace. I love that, Joshua. Brian C, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. You're actually one of the men I was talking about when I said we've got a lot of intellectual smart men here. Dado, real love is not cheating women. I would agree with you. I think you're spot on. I think whatever I'm feeling is right now is love. Elijah, I think that isn't that how we always want to be feeling. You know, that feeling of love, that feeling of honestly, there's a peace. There's almost like a sigh of relief that comes when we're feeling love. I'm just so grateful. Love equals grace. Patrick Grow. I think everybody can answer that question. He says, what did the world do to you? Y'all, isn't that so interesting? You know what I wonder? Okay. I just got musing with that question. So we were talking earlier about how walking in our power is effectively stepping into that Avenger suit. I wonder how much we go through life never really even knowing what we're capable of unless we get knocked down to then have to figure it out. You know, if there's nothing, it's kind of like the juxtaposing darkness for light and the juxtaposing villain to the hero. Like you never actually get to see what you're really capable of in that state of your power in terms of the hero until there's something to battle. And actually, this is such a good book too. Somebody didn't like it that I really respect, but I really liked it. Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. I loved this because effectively so here's the thing. Either life comes in and beats us up, or we actually self-induce the arena. We intentionally go into the arena on a daily basis. We've chosen our enemies. We've picked them with great intention, and then we also have identified this is how I need to grow. And then we go into the arena, and man, do we go after growth? Man, do we go after this is who I need to be, and this is how I need to change. Um, mhm. Elijah, trivia is going to be Wednesday. Y'all, we're going to do trivia on Wednesday. So make sure you come to that. I have a networking event Wednesday, but I'm planning to go live with y'all at 11. No, I'm sorry, 9 p.m. Eastern on the 11th. Okay, so I've got the Knowing show in the afternoon. So I'll actually be going live 3 times that day on Wednesday, but we'll do it. We'll nail it. So yeah, we're gonna do trivia on Wednesday night. Ryan Davis says, "Love is life." Can you love someone you've never met? Oh man, yeah, I think so. Well, and it depends on what that love is, right? I think it depends on what's that. So with the 7 definitions of love, what's the one you're looking at? Y'all, I'm so bummed. I have to jump off because I have to go do another show. I have another show where I talk all things branding and marketing for home service businesses. So if you guys want to come join me there, I will drop the link here, but let me see if I can actually save some of these chats first before I do that, because I like to come back and kind of read what y'all have been saying. I'm having a hard time saving them. Oh, well, maybe I'm not supposed to save them tonight. All right, well, I can't save them. But if you guys want to hop over with me, Foundation First Marketing, would love to have you. And we're just going to talk about all things marketing. I kind of nerd out on branding and marketing and business strategy. So if you guys want to come hang out, that's where I'll be. I'm going to go over there in just a minute. But yeah, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. We'll talk love tomorrow night. Let me go down to the end of the chat and see kind of what's happening. I will join your live tomorrow. I am early, waiting for your new guest. I have set some questions that I will ask your guest. Good. Okay, Explore. I don't think I have a guest tomorrow, but I do have a guest. All right, let me confirm. I'm sorry I don't. Uh-oh. Am I flying? I'm flying Tuesday night for my evening show. Oh no. This is the first time I'm going to have to miss an evening show in so long. All right, so I'll figure it out. I'll probably go live tomorrow or Tuesday morning. Okay, so the first time I have a guest explorer is Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Actually, this is a relationship coach. I'm actually really excited to have him. So you'll probably really like that one if you're interested in those kind of conversations. All right, y'all. I will be over at I'll be over at Foundation First Marketing. Come chat with me. All right, y'all, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'll be on again tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I will be on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern for going through A Course in Miracles. And in the